All right, story time. So my customer reaches out and says, "Hey, have you heard about Overcrest rally?" And I'm like, "What rally? I've never heard of Overcrest rally." So he says it's put on by the guys who put on the Overcrest podcast. So they're putting on a rally, and I want to take my 911 on the rally, and it's a mess. So like I gotta get it cleaned up before I go on this thing. So I'm like, awesome, I want to be a part of this. We need to film a video where we film the before wash, where your car comes in and it's dirty in the beginning. We wash it, we film the process on how we're going to get that car clean for the rally so you can enjoy it. Also, so how we're going to protect it. And then when you come back from the rally, we're going to wash it again and show why it was easier, why we prepped it the way we did. And then we can kind of have this awesome video for people who do road trips and rallies, how to prep it, how to wash it, and what are the products that we use, so they can kind of have a guide on how to do it. So he was like, "What? Like, that's awesome. Like, I want you to film a video. Like, I want you to put this together." I don't think he knew that it was going to take me this long to put this video together. It's been a couple months. There's actually literally a new Overcrest rally coming up for this year, so it's taken me a little while to create this video. But he was excited, and finally we're putting this video together for him. So the car shows up, for the pre-wash, and it comes in, and I mean, this thing is dirty. Like it is seriously dirty. The wheels and the tires, I'd never seen such browning on the tires. So like, yeah, I'll cue it in. Like, check the tires out on this thing. It was crazy. So the car was obviously washed, and let's jump into that process for a second, and I'll kind of narrate you through what happened. So as you can see, the car wasn't terribly dirty. The wheels were pretty bad, but the paint was dirty, but by no means the dirtiest car we'd ever seen. It hadn't been mudding like a pickup truck or something. It just needed a serious wash, but nothing out of the ordinary in terms of just process. So it needed a proper beginning to end wash. So to fix those rims and wheels, or the tires and rim that were obviously very, very bad, needed a little bit of a special process. So that got brake buster sprayed and everything. I think I sprayed a little more than I would usually spray because it was so bad, and then I agitated all of it with a wheel woolly. Now I sprayed brake buster into the wheel woolly, and I sprayed it on the rim, and then I didn't do anything special outside of that. When the wheel woolly is wet and it has brake buster in it, all of that foam you see, that comes from brake buster. It just naturally foams. I didn't use an IK foamer. You're literally seeing it in real time. It foams really good by itself. So you don't have to dilute this in an IK foamer to get foam. You can just agitate and get foam naturally from the product, which is great. And it really does a great job of getting all that brown dirt out of the tire. So you can see, and again, in the real time when it's done, it's just not brown anymore when we're done. And that was after one pass, which is pretty incredible. And the same thing on just the rims. You can see it really ate through that brake dust and knocked it all out. And brake buster does not have any iron decon in it, because there's a lot of wheel cleaners now with iron decon where it turns purple and melts it off, and that's a little bit of a strong product to use. And this just shows how strong brake buster really is. Brake buster is amazing. So after that, we go through the normal process of a wash. So the whole car gets foamed. We foam with a PF22, and I'm going to make some videos that are coming that haven't been made yet about foaming, because obviously our foam is crazy. Most people don't get foam like this. This stuff is like next level thick shaving cream foam. So we'll talk about that more in the future, but I'll give you a little tip for the time being. So to get foam like that, it's always great to go to your kitchen sink and fill your foam cannon with like burning hot water from your sink. Be very careful when you fill it so you don't hurt yourself or burn yourself. And then obviously you're going to use the right soap and a little bit higher concentration to get really good foam. And when you let that dwell, obviously you get a great thick foam. So the main protection we used once we cleaned and the car was totally clean and everything was good, in the rinse phase, you put wet coat on. Wet coat's made by Geon. You can also buy CarPro Hydro Light from CarPro, and these are products you spray on and rinse back off. So you can see we spray hydro on, and then we rinse it off with a pressure washer, and then basically it waxes the car and makes it hydrophobic, and it's really fast and easy. So you can see in this application, it kind of needs a second coat. Sometimes you need to do that. This is also an older bottle, which is why the sprayer's kind of screwed up. So on this one, I spray, and then I stop spraying, let it kind of marinate, and then I rinse it all the way off. And I don't know if it was because I did a proper application of letting it marinate for a second, or if it just needed 2 applications because this paint was in bad shape. But the bottom line is, you know, the results don't lie. After that second spray, it was really, really hydrophobic. That basically looks like a ceramic coated car now. So wet coat's great, and that's going to give great protection while he's on the rally, and when he comes back, you'll see it's still there, it still beads, and it makes the rinse when he comes back really, really simple. So this is the main step here of adding wet coat, like really changes the game for having protection on your car. And basically you're just spraying this on when you wash it, so we're not really adding a huge amount of time to our detail, and you don't have to add a huge amount of time to your detail before you go on a road trip or a rally. Just spray wet coat on it. And just some shots of the water beading, because really this stuff is amazing. I mean, it's such a high contact angle water bead, and that's what we talk about about ceramic coatings. We say, wow, this is a 120-degree contact angle, and that's impressive. You know, this is just about that. This is just more temporary. Ceramic coatings go for 5 years, 7 years. This goes for probably about 5 to 6 months. I've gotten around 5 to 6 months in the middle of a Chicago winter, which has, you know, salt. So if I'm getting durability like that, then you're going to get similar durability, especially in non-winter environments. So he comes and picks the car up, and he's super excited. This thing is like super clean. It's all waxed, looking good. And, you know, so he takes the car. I think the following morning, like that night, he drives home, and then that following morning, he takes it on the beginning of the rally. It's like a long drive out to the rally, and then like the rally starts that like afternoon, basically. You know, shenanigans happen, like as any rally would have. And we'll cue some clips in for that, because some crazy stuff happened. So the car comes back to us after all of the shenanigans happen, and the car is dirty for sure, but it's like almost, it was, the wheels and tires were dirtier before, on that before, you know, shot. But when the car came afterwards, obviously it was very, very dirty, very dusty. They drove over all that gravel, and that kind of would kick up some stuff. There was a lot of rock chips that happened on the bottom also from that gravel. So there was a large process to go through to get the car back clean, but in general the process was very streamlined. It was very fast, and it was because of that wax. The wax that we put on, even if it was, I think it was almost like 48 hours or maybe 3 days, but that really helped. So like it really helped the bugs come off, it really helped the dust come off. So like 90% of the dirt came off in the rinse, and that's so crucial not to swirl a car out or mess anything up, like scratch it. Because then once you foam it and then you wash it, you're mitigating the possibilities of scratches and swirl marks so exponentially. So the prep was huge. It was such a big deal to get the car set up beforehand so that after wash was a breeze, and then he was back on the road. He could go to work the next day, and it was like, you know, it was good to go. Where I think most people would kind of just be like, man, this is going to be a wreck. It's going to be too dirty. And then they'd leave it like that for a long time, and then it's kind of this thing where you don't want to drive your car, you don't enjoy it as much because it's so dirty. So when the car comes back, you can see all of that hydrophobic properties that was put by wet coat, and I think we also topped it with cure, but this is really wet coat. It's all still there. It's really impressive. Like, this is some really serious product. This car got driven through some pretty serious conditions. It lived outside for 3 or 4 days. It got driven through some bad stuff. It definitely probably got rained on because you could tell there was spots. It's amazing. I mean, it's on the glass. It was on everything. It was on the wheels. And it's just like, it's amazing how good that product is. So if you have not tried a product that's spray and rinse like Wet Coat or Hydro Light, I highly recommend you check it out. It's in the store, statusdetailstore.com, and you can also check out Wet Coat for a lower price. Wet Coat is cheaper than Hydro. Now you can see the wheels are not that dirty. They were way worse when they came in the first time. So because we put protection on here and because we cleaned them so good the first time, we basically just sprayed brake buster on and then rinsed them. Well, we agitated a little bit, but like, I mean, I spent a fraction of the time cleaning them on the return visit as I did on the first one. And then a fun tip for Porsches is you can kind of angle a pressure washer the right way in the front to blow all the leaves out of your front little radiators, especially in fall. You know, these kind of fill up with leaves. So once again, we foamed the whole car. We're still not going to do a half step or like a quick detailer. We still, you know, needed to do a wash. So even though the car was protected and it was beating water, you wash it because that's the right step. So we don't do a half step. We don't do quick detailer. We didn't want to use an IK foamer because we have a pressure washer. So just because you have an IK foamer doesn't mean you should use it in a situation like this. I would still do the full process because there's no substitute for that. So because of that fact, we foamed it the same way we did the first time, which means we brought out the pressure washer, the PF22, the good soap, high concentration of soap, so we got really good foam again, because we want to make sure we don't scratch it. So when we have really good thick foam like this, you know, you get a really good quality wash where we're not going to swirl anything, and we're basically putting a lot of lubrication in between our friction of a wash pad and the paint. So the lubrication is the foam in the middle. So it's kind of interesting to see where he had that sticker from the rally is like creating a residue difference. And I'm thinking some of this was probably from sticker residue, but you can see that lifted part of the foam where like the rest of the paint is behaving differently than that one spot. And it just shows you how residue is on a paint. So it's either residue from the sticker making that raised spot in the middle, or it's because that part was so clean because it was put a sticker on it when it was clean, and the other parts of the car were so dirty that even when we rinsed it, there was still residue on the rest of the car, but no residue on the sticker spot. So I don't know which residue it was, but clearly, as you saw, there was one kind of residue where the sticker was, whether it was just a clean spot and dirty paint residue around it, or more like clean paint on the outside and glue residue from the sticker on the inside part of the circle, the square. And then once again, you can see when we're done rinsing and everything's done, sometimes you can get a little bit of soap residue on the paint that will kind of interrupt the beading for a minute or two. But once that kind of evaporates and moves away, you can see the beading returns. And it's just amazing. Wet Coat and Cure are like a combo that are really remarkable for how well they work. And getting water beading like that is pretty complicated usually, but for how quick and easy you can get it from this, it's just it's a 1-2 punch of two products that I love. So because those are on there, we can again reduce friction by blowing the car dry. At the end it was clean, he drove it away clean, he probably got it dirty almost immediately again, and you know, he probably enjoyed every second of it because this guy really loves driving his car. And in the end of the day, that's kind of what it's about, right? Especially for a lot of our 911 owners, I think they understand. You know, we drive those kinds of cars because they're fun to drive, and you take them on rallies to get them clean so you can get them dirty so you can literally go get it dirty again. So the point is, when you do the right processes and use some of these, you know, really awesome products, the wash afterwards can be really streamlined and really fast, and it gets you back on the road quicker so we can drive again. Your family on a road trip for 5 hours to a hotel on a vacation spot. If you do some prep work beforehand, that wash when you get back is so much easier. The bugs come off easier, the dirt comes off easier, and then you end up back where you started much quicker versus not doing the prep work, not having wax on there, and then doing your trip, coming back, and then it literally takes 2 or 3 times as long. You end up damaging the paint, removing bugs that are caked on. You end up damaging paint if you do the process in general wrong, but just washing incorrectly. So I hope this is kind of a guide for people, especially people who are doing rallies, because rallies are so much fun, that you kind of take some of this to heart, and you know, also consider taking some of these products with you. Like if you take some of the wax with you, or you take some car wash soap and stuff and put it in a bucket and you want to wash the car mid-trip or something, you can do that kind of stuff. So keep this stuff in mind. Maybe, you know, just like this video, because then it'll show up in your liked videos, and that way you can kind of bookmark it and come back and watch it again for the next time you have a trip. If you like this kind of content and you like this video, give us a thumb up, especially in the comments. Mention if you kind of like this kind of vlog style video, because this is totally not the normal kind of video that I make. And outside of that, guys, if you're new to this channel, if you're seeing this for the first time and you enjoyed this kind of content, check out the other videos on our channel. And if you like that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe, because we have so much more coming. And that's it. We'll see you in the next one.